Hello friends, and welcome to my channel. Today, we are going to talk about the Roman civilization. The Roman civilization is one of the most important civilizations in human history. It's been called the cradle of Western civilization for a reason. The Romans were responsible for many things that we take for granted today, like roads, aqueducts, concrete, and even our legal system. They also had a huge empire that stretched from Britain to Egypt. But how did they do it? How did these guys build all these amazing things and conquer so much land? Well, let me tell you. This is an old piece of wood. It's about 2,000 years old, and it was found in Italy. But what is interesting about this piece of wood is that it has a series of holes drilled into it. And if you look closely, you can see that the holes are arranged in a very specific pattern. This piece of wood is a tool used by the ancient Romans to drill holes in stone. The Romans were some of the greatest engineers in the ancient world. They built roads, aqueducts, bridges, and buildings that were marvels of the ancient world. One of the most famous examples of Roman engineering is the Colosseum. This amphitheater was built in Rome around 80 AD and could hold up to 50,000 spectators. The Romans used it for gladiatorial combats, animal hunts, executions, and other public spectacles. To build something like this, you need a lot of manpower and resources, but the Romans were able to do it because they had a highly developed economy and a strong centralized government. They also had a number of inventions that made construction easier. For example, they developed a type of concrete that was stronger and more durable than the concrete we use today. They also invented a number of tools that made drilling and cutting stone much easier. These tools allowed the Romans to build larger and more elaborate structures than any other civilization at the time. But it wasn't just their engineering skills that made the Romans so successful. It was also their ability to organize and manage large projects. The Romans were able to build roads, aqueducts, and buildings that spanned vast distances because they had a system for managing construction projects. They had engineers who designed and supervised the construction of buildings, as well as workers who actually did the labor. This system allowed the Romans to complete large projects quickly and efficiently. In addition to their engineering skills, the Romans were also able to build such massive structures because they had a strong centralized government. The Roman Empire was one of the largest and most powerful empires in the ancient world. It stretched from Britain to Egypt and included much of Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. The Roman government was able to collect taxes and conscript soldiers from all over the empire, which gave them the resources they needed to build large projects. Another factor that contributed to the rise of Roman civilization was its geographic location. Italy is located in the Mediterranean Sea, which made it easy for the Romans to trade with other civilizations. This trade brought wealth and resources to Rome, which helped them build their empire. So there you have it. The Romans were able to build such amazing things because they had a combination of factors working in their favor. They had highly developed economy, strong centralized government, skilled engineers, and a favorable geographic location. All of these factors combined to create the perfect conditions for the rise of Roman civilization. Now let's get back to our story. So our old piece of wood was used by the Romans to help them drill holes in stone. They would insert the piece of wood into a hole in the stone and then use a hammer to strike it. This would cause the piece of wood to spin and drill a hole into the stone. The Romans used this technique to drill holes for a variety of purposes. For example, they might use it to create holes for the supports in a bridge or aqueduct. They might also use it to drill holes for the foundation of a building. No matter what the task was, the Romans were able to do it quickly and efficiently thanks to their clever use of simple tools. But not all of the Romans' work was so grand. Many of them were farmers who grew food for the empire. In fact, agriculture was the most important economic activity in Roman society. Most Romans lived in rural areas and worked as farmers growing crops like wheat, olives, and grapes. They also raised livestock, such as sheep, goats, and pigs. The success of Roman agriculture was due to a number of factors. First, the Romans had developed advanced farming techniques, such as crop rotation and irrigation. These techniques allowed them to grow more food on less land, which led to increased productivity. Additionally, the Roman Empire had a large and diverse population, which provided a large labor force for agriculture. Finally, the Romans had a sophisticated system of roads that allowed them to transport food throughout the empire. All of these factors combined to make Roman agriculture one of the most productive in the ancient world. The products of Roman agriculture were not only used to feed the Roman people, but were also exported throughout the empire. In fact, Roman grain was shipped as far away as Egypt and China. This trade brought wealth and prosperity to the Roman farmers and helped to make the Roman Empire one of the richest civilizations in history. Despite the wealth and prosperity of the Roman Empire, it didn't last forever. In 476 AD, the Western Roman Empire fell, and the Eastern Roman Empire, also known as the Byzantine Empire, continued on for another 1,000 years. The fall of the Western Roman Empire is often seen as the end of the Classical era and the beginning of the Middle Ages. Despite its fall, the Roman legacy lived on in the Byzantine Empire and in the cultures of Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. If you think this is interesting, then please don't forget to subscribe for more videos about ancient history. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.